A lot going on, obviously. You guys saw what I did earlier, sort of cleaning up this design. I've shared that other design and already got some feedback and kind of cleaned it up as well. So this is the I actually had a misspelling in here, actually. Embarrassing, I know, but I'd rather have my friends know about that than the client. And even Morty was like, Times Square, really? Come on, Paul. So I switched out the picture, as you can see right there. All right. So again, getting that feedback through Behance, ultimately refining my design. As you can see, I switch over to this version. And now I need to turn this into a website. Okay, so I need to take this design. Okay, here it is in Photoshop. Typically what you do is, open up the editor of your choice. Okay, and zoom in here. And when it comes to CSS, as far as positioning items, that's what I do. I position and start to style elements using CSS. We got a long list I can pick from. It's great that I can pick whatever I want in here. I already did the design. Do I have to worry about writing out that CSS? I did it here. Just make it code, right? That's what I want to do. Make it code. Is there a make it code selection? I don't know. We've come close. Copy CSS from a layer. Yeah, well, oh, wait. You'll see it work. Hold on. That's a text layer. Image layer, a shape layer with the fancy rounded corners. In fact, I'm a little lazy. I'm going to select that entire layer group. Copy CSS for that entire layer group. It does its thing. Let's go back over into, again, my code editor. Do right-click, paste. Oh, look, I'm taking the rest of the day off, guys. I'm done. Again, very powerful. Copy CSS from Photoshop. Awesome what you can do there. Let's shift gears a little bit. Illustrator. Say if you're an Illustrator user. Same situation. I did the design in Illustrator because that's what I know. I would really like to get the CSS properties for my elements. Selecting that. In fact, again, I'm lazy. I'm going to select everything. And then right in here, really it tells me, it does everything for me. It tells me even, all I have to do is press this button to generate the CSS. But that's what it does, and that's the CSS that's generated. But check this out. We'll take it a step further. Export CSS. Takes the CSS, any images, whatever's used there, starts to output them, says, hey, what folder do you want them in? Let's put them in this exported folder as outdoor homepage CSS. Save. Do the browser-specific prefixes as well. Other settings. Again, you get these other settings because it's kicking out the images as well. It does its thing. Again, kicking out all those images. And I don't even need Illustrator anymore. Let's quit out of Illustrator. Back in Dreamweaver. Let's go to the source code. So switching over here, hold on, pasting in, just pasting in that URL. So I'm pointing to that same folder where there was nothing earlier, all right? And I can switch to that folder, in case you guys don't believe me, outdoor homepage, right in here, exported. This is all the content that it's exported. As you can see, there it is, there's my design. Just reference that CSS. Hey, that's time off. As far as I'm concerned, that's time off. It's like money in my pocket. It's a good day. I'm going to hang out in New York City. That's what I would do. Right? So feels good to be able to do that. And since we're getting into sort of production mode, let's take a look at what else we want to do with that particular design. Let me switch gears, in fact, as I show you this page. So here I've designed everything, but I want to kick out all of the images. Maybe I'm just processing images and I need to kick out those JPEGs, all that fun stuff. Okay, so what do you guys typically do, say for instance, for this logo? Like what I do, maybe this is old school, I'll do a select all, I'll copy it, new file, okay, paste it, it's still there, okay, good. Mash a bunch of keys together to get saved for web. There it is, okay. And this is exhausting is what it is. I did just one image, right? And that's our life. That's been our life for 10, 15 years, oh, you'll bust out the slice tool, right? And you'll slice it up that way. That's what you guys remember that? Is you guys a little flashback? Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah, it's like an X-Acto knife. I cut out that one little image and export it. That's one, done. Yeah, good luck with that. And this is typically what happens, is it's going to take that background and it's going to be the wrong size, and I'm actually accidentally going to clip that part of the circle. I'll screw it up, basically, is what I'm saying. Well, that workflow hasn't really changed until now. We had a recent update to Photoshop. In fact, really, all I want to do with this layer is just make it a ping file, PNG. All right? What about this big image right here? That guy looking off into the distance. I threw everything at it. So you have a layer, this layer mask on this folder, a bunch of junk. It got ugly. You know what? Make it a JPEG. That's what I'm doing there. Close you up. Let's scroll down a little further. What else? This background, huge, right? It's covering that whole area. Sure, I want to make it a JPEG, but you know what? Let's make it smaller. What about quality? Let's just lower the quality some and make that a manageable size. I just added 40%. You guys want, let's get even more fancy. You guys ready for this? Comma. It's a little pro tip as well. I want one half the size for mobile, 50% in front. Yeah. Well, let's check it out. This is what I'm selling right here. This Photoshop Generate feature. Oh, let's generate those image assets. Now, I got to do this really fast. I'm just going to open up this folder. Going right in here, this is my index PSD. That's this file, okay? Nothing up my sleeve. It's going to create a folder, in fact, as I go File, Generate, Image Assets. Zoom in, wait for it, 3, 2, 1. It's even faster than I can count, and it builds out all of those images. This is saving me time, which ultimately helps me out a ton. I didn't have to chop, 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 chop. It was rename layer, rename layer, rename layer. That's all you have to do, guys. You do have to name your layers at this point. Look, guys, large image, 1280, huge. Remember we kicked out that small version? There's my small version, 640. Cut it in half. And the quality, too. It's less quality, too. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but overall, that's 40%. I have that image. Everything is there. In fact, I'm noticing with this image, I would like to clean it up, and I'm indecisive as well. So in this case, quite frankly, I want him to look at the text. So let's go ahead and just flip horizontal. Flip horizontal, it did it right there. I didn't touch a thing. There's that live connection. Very powerful that you can do that, and that's because this little box is checked. Okay? So let me show you something else, guys. This is another almost secret because we don't talk about it that much. This is Node.js. For those of you who know what it is, that basically allows me to write for Photoshop. So I met with a gaming company last night, and say, for instance, you have a scenario where you might have a game, again, just loading in this. You have an HTML game, all right? And so what I do is I make all my assets in Photoshop, and they send them over the wall, and the developer puts everything together within that gaming environment, right? They said, okay, well, we'll write this little plugin, and this will be for the designer, because you're noticing there's this rip right there on the edge. It's hard to see, but you wouldn't notice that until you got into the game. And with this checked, again, this was what was written, live texture updater, all in fact just, again, quickly, fill it. You're not going to be able to tell too much it filled it. Let's go ahead and change it entirely. Having that live connection, thanks to Photoshop, definitely makes your life a lot easier. All right, so you have obviously sort of the modern web where content, I really want my content to look great in a browser, regardless of where that browser is, right? That's what I want to do. So we're looking at the responsive, sort of the responsive web these days, if you will. And this is what I mean, having a website like this. Looks good, again, on my desktop, and as I shrink it down, watch the menu over here. Sure, I can, sift through all this stuff. But again, just watch this menu. You could see it pops to the top. So you can say, okay, perfect, iPad, we're good. Scale it down some more. The iPad mini or a large phone, you can see how that shuffles. Scaling it down further, and again, this is sort of the responsive web. This is what I want my content to do. It's sort of, let me just show you this. This is a better way to explain it. Obviously, we travel a lot, just so you guys could get to know me a little better. Here's my suitcase. I don't take everything with me from home. I just take the essentials, right? So as I open this up, again, you can see just the essentials popping out, packaged up. That's the idea. Again, Terry, just so we can kind of get to know him a little better, you probably no surprise, all this photography. I don't know how he fits that in there, but he does. Complete with the stand, packing that up. And then, again, we have Jason, which you already got a quick preview there as we open it up. I have a lot of records. He doesn't really have anywhere to play them, but he packs them anyway, as well as a piano, a grand piano. I don't know how he does. It's amazing. Just the essentials, packing it up. So that's cool, but that's what I want. I want something flexible and awesome like that. So we said, you know what, we can have you use Photoshop, and you have to do 5 different designs or 4 different for all those layouts, or we can introduce you to a new app that we're working on. Again, brand new, it's called Edge Reflow. Design the responsive web. Again, I have access to it. I could install it. You can see it right here. I'll launch it. Whatever I create in Reflow, this is actually web content. So when I just draw out a simple box, that's actually a div I just made, right? So if I select that object right down here, again, I can rename it, whatever, whatever. Rename it. But if I click right here, you can see that's the CSS that it generates. That's right, yes. You have the confidence in knowing whatever you do in here in Reflow is going to work in browsers. Even as I add, say for instance, a drop shadow, give it a blur. Again, it's doing that box shadow. So as I select it, sure enough, you'll see it down there. Everything looks good. So I have the freedom in making whatever I want, and I don't have to be concerned about whether it needs to be an image or if it will be in CSS, that sort of thing. I have control to design what I want. And in fact, let's liven this up, because I think I just have to. Locating, again, that image real fast, loading that in the background, and then right here, starting to create that design. Okay, so these could have been generated from the generate feature, again in Photoshop, and there it is. So I'll fix this, just like that, maybe 150, something like that. You guys get the idea. Sure, let's go with that. And keep in mind, we don't call it Reflow for nothing, by the way, because as I scale it down, you can see how the content is flexible. Great start. Everything's percentage based. I can see it right down here. Bam. Good stuff, right? Copy, paste, use it in the editor of my choice. This means your developers are really going to like you for this, by the way. If you gave them the HTML and some CSS. So it brings people together, everybody. So as I scale this down, again, I want to make different versions. This design starts to break up right here, okay? And that's what I do. I've kind of determined, my design determines where that breakpoint or media query should be. So what do? Come right over here, top bar, click. Right in here, that's my media query. So now I can, again, begin to play with this design. So it's like I made almost like a new PSD. I could just have fun with this. Scaling this content up, sure, stretching this out. This could have text in it, whatever the case may be, moving this content up like that. Hopefully I got it right on the money, but let's see. Okay, there we are. So again, I can clean that up more. Let's shrink it down some more. At this point, adding Again, another breakpoint right there. And this could be my iPad mini size. But I can't keep track, guys. I can't keep track of all the devices. I don't have to keep up. I'm having the design basically determine where my breakpoints will be. Changing that display to none, sort of hiding that image. Again, great start. I didn't have to make 4 different PSDs. Everything's flexible. It's going to work across devices. And that's what Reflow does. Easy enough, right? Easy enough. Show you, do you one better. Because we want to keep you from creating things multiple times as well. And I already started to create this design. In fact, what can I do? Oh, generate Edge Reflow project. That's what I want from that PSD. Selecting Edge Reflow project, rushing out to my desktop, right in here. Wait for it. There it is. Bam. Starts creating the images, and then my Reflow file any second will appear right there. So there it is, loading it in Reflow. And we'll give it a second. At this point, brings in all that content, right? All this content I didn't have to place. Sure, I have to do some cleanup. Obviously, I'd establish some hierarchy. I'd start to group this stuff together, all right? And establish that hierarchy. All right, so let's take a look at a version that's a little cleaner, right? Spend some time on it. You can see right here as I click through, everything looks great, okay? Let me show you this. It's taking, for instance, this file, why not, this about PSD, opening it up, and this will be my file that's open. So back in Reflow, if I want to make that page, sure, I can add other pages, just like I've already done. I can duplicate the home page and recreate all that stuff. Or what I could do is I could use this Photoshop button. So selecting right here, says, hey, oh, I know you have the About PSD open. In fact, I want to go ahead and make a PSD based, or excuse me, a page based on that PSD. All right, and there it is. So we have, again, our home page and then our About page. Cool? Easy enough. Let's take it a little farther. In fact, you can see how crazy this got. The web, say 10 years ago, it wasn't that fun. I'm admitting that it wasn't that fun. I was using Flash. I was using the best technology at the time to do what I need to do. But the web is accelerating a lot, and largely two developments Adobe has contributed to, one of those being CSS regions. Another one is CSS filters, right? You know what? I know the web is accelerating. I want to take advantage of those features right away, and Reflow lets you. In fact, CSS regions, let me show you where I'd use that, right here. As I scale this down, I get this huge hole as I scale it down. No good. I don't like it. I'd love it if content can reflow, and that's what CSS regions allows you to do. But your simple implementation in Reflow is this. Create a region container. Selecting that. Okay, wait for it. Oh, look. I know that from InDesign. I can see those text boxes are connected. So now when I scale it down, this is the flexibility. This is what I want for my content. CSS regions, right? And just so you know where it is, in fact. Let me show you again, real-world example. Oh, saving babies. Oh, I'm tugging at your heartstrings, right? This is a real-world project from National Geographic. You can see where they've used it, threaded on down. Oh, it stops right there. Oh, that's not a problem. Click, loads it into my cursor. Let's go ahead and like that. You know, the web is fun again. That's what I do. Oh, this last one, auto, bam, and that's going to be good to go, right? CSS regions, one of those new features, all right? Another new feature is, I got more for you, CSS filters, right? Say, for instance, for this image, if I wanted to turn it black and white or blur it, I'd have to open up Photoshop, make it black and white, you know, save out those two versions. Maybe one's blurry, and I'm going to put text on top of it. but I still want to have that original. So if the user goes to this site and I have a black and white and a color version, that's 2 files they have to download. Or what I can do, thanks to CSS filters, selecting this image, going to view, oh look, I even like it, shiny web features. Oh wow, that's nice. I'm down with shiny web features. You can see CSS regions and filters, and it's because they are so new, it'll actually just tell me what browsers they work in and which don't, so you can see if, you know, Android browsers, some IE as expected. I didn't say that out loud. All right, so clicking here, let's go ahead and make it grayscale. I've just made that grayscale. Let's add another. Let's blur it, and I'm able to blur that out. And again, this is what I like about the modern web, giving me control like that. That project is actually available on GitHub. And again, I would use Reflow to create my CSS. It's not the next Dreamweaver, if you will. Dreamweaver is your all-in-one tool, as you can see here with this design. So I would bring in that CSS into Dreamweaver and add my functionality. In fact, what I want to do here for this page is start to even work with the CSS a little more. So check this out. I can go to inspect mode, and CSS in the past in Dreamweaver, honestly, we gave you a long list that was mind-numbing. It was called the CSS insert panel, and it scared me as well. But now we have the new CSS designer panel. Oh look, all of the various properties for the element that I have selected right here, excuse me, all the selectors, and then all the properties right down here. So all I need to do is just roll over. Oh look, it starts to change. Look, it starts to change as I roll over this content. Oh, give me those properties that make up that item. And I don't care where the CSS is, or I don't care. Just give me those properties. You can see them right down there. There they are, okay? Selecting that item. In fact, this reverse, this live highlight, as I highlight elements, even in this selector panel, it starts highlighting where that CSS is being used. Taking that, you can see that CSS is going to be applied at least 2 other places. Coming to my properties panel, maybe adding a gradient, okay? I can add that gradient. In fact, let's just make it a nice subtle gray. Adding that gradient, you can see where it's added that gradient. Easy enough. I want to be a fancy designer as well. I'm going to round the corners. As you can see, I just rounded the corners. I don't know if this is how this is gonna work, but again, every other corner. And now I feel like I'm part of the Cool Kids Club. Right, done. Visually changing that content, saving that. You'll see it obviously here, updated, good to go, all these different places. That's what I want to do in Dreamweaver. Lastly, as we wrap it up, I could add those CSS transitions in Dreamweaver. Okay, that works out pretty well. I might want to go beyond that. In fact, we are going to take a break here in a second, but this is the sort of experience I want. Let's create something like that. How would I do that? Telling that story. You saw the CSS filters. That was just a blur. That's all I did, okay? Using something like Edge Animate to add animation and even add a little bit of interactivity to that content.